Hey everybody, just a quick announcement before the video, one that I think will interest a lot of people. Every episode of the Sojourn is now available to directly buy or rent through our website. It's a service hosted by Vimeo, and it offers almost as good creator rates as Patreon does, but doesn't require you to pledge a recurring monthly subscription. Basically, you can just buy directly through the website, listen to it through your browser window at any time. You'll get an email that can take you back to it whenever you want to return. It works on mobile devices, and it will even keep playing if you've got the page minimized on your phone or your phone is asleep, so you can use it just like an audio player like Spotify. So if you've been interested in checking out the series and the other platforms weren't vibing for you, or you wanted to get it in such a way that supports the creator the most without having to pledge on Patreon, this may be the way to go for you. You can test it out by renting the whole season for 3 days for $6.99 USD, or you can rent just the first 3 episode volume to try it out for $3.99 USD. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Do check it out if it sounds interesting. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the video.
On the 57th of Equinox, 291 PCU, in one of the earliest actions of the Frontier War, the CSV Vanquisher, on her maiden voyage, found herself locked in a heated battle with a never-before-seen manner of Union warship. This ship, once inspected, proved to be among the first of a new class of ship in service with the Union militia, heavier and better armed than their typical outriders, and of a more sophisticated design. The Alessiah Class Fast Frigate, despite being a good deal larger than an outrider, maintains much of the speed and simple elegance of its smaller forebears, and did much to finally lock down the developing naval aesthetic of the Frontier Union. The ship is constructed in a Far Nyagandanu format, an elaboration on the Union's famous Nyagandanu frame that presents as a 3-hulled trimaran. At a length of 213.9 meters and beam of 130, the ship is large for a frigate, even by Centran standards, but in spite of this offers extremely potent acceleration and maneuverability, allowing it to outpace its opponents and continue to participate in the same hit-and-run tactics typical of smaller Union craft. The CDF's inspection of the Alessiah class after its first action against Vanquisher vindicated what many had already begun to suspect. Though built to a Union design set forth by Union shipwrights and crewed by 121 militia partisans, the ship itself was materially far more Maissian than Union. It became apparent that the ship had not only been designed in collaboration with commissioned Maissian shipwrights, but even assembled almost entirely from Maissian components. As successful as the Union's own outriders had been, the difference in shipbuilding quality afforded by being able to rely on a prosperous and resource-rich foreign nation cannot be overstated. The ship's vanadium titanium armor is a contender even for the titanium aluminide plating of modern Centran warships, and its immensely powerful engines are derived from designs used on enormous Maissian constructor ships built to haul gigantic station modules into place. These factors allow for a combination of durability and speed that could never be achieved within the limited resource economy of the southeastern frontier alone. The Alesia is armed with 4 AEC Ikazeka railguns, positioned on bulky ensconcements toward the aft of the port and starboard pontoons. Despite being less sophisticated than modern Centran coil guns, these weapons vastly outstrip the outdated 10-inch bodkins of the Florencia class and can deliver a powerful armor-piercing punch at long range. The only major drawback of these weapons is the one shared by all railguns: the swift erosion of the weapon's rails under continual use. To this end, the Alesia carries numerous spare rails, not only aboard ship, but even lashed to the exterior hull to be removed and installed by EVA teams between actions. The Alessia's primary armament is supported by 8 Yakata Teldrin swivel gun emplacements. The same model used on the Indria-class Outrider, these Union-built swivel guns provide not only an effective point defense screen, but a lethal sheet of supporting fire in close action to be directed against hostile vessels. Despite its size, the Alesia lacks any sort of boat bay, with every inch of its available space being devoted to its performance in combat, and as such must rely on external docking with boats, stations and other vessels to embark or disembark personnel. The Alesia carries a small supplementary torpedo arsenal feeding launch tubes laid into trenches along the primary hull. Though this magazine offers space for only precious few torpedoes, those warheads can themselves be larger, higher-yield weapons than normally seen on outriders, such as the Maissian A9 Cracker IR, a slow and heavy torpedo capable of delivering ruinous damage to even ships of the line. The discovery of such extensive Maissian involvement in the development of so potent a warship initially led for strong calls for action in the Centran Parliament against what was considered to be profiteering by the Maissian freehold. But the disastrous events of the subsequent Dulstaff campaign placed the Assembly in a position where they themselves could no longer afford to alienate the freehold or lose access to their arms and shipbuilding market. Resultantly, the infamous Treaty of Misadori was set in place, under which the Maissian freehold were free to continue selling to both warring nations at equal rates without repercussion, a policy that brought unfathomable wealth to the freehold across the subsequent decade. The Alessiah class was produced in significant numbers across the war and partook in the majority of its most important actions after its introduction. The ship often served as a command vessel for Union fleet and squadron leaders, and built a reputation among the CDF as a respected adversary to be engaged with care. In the aftermath of the war, the ship continues to serve with the Union militia, but through the combined effects of rapid wartime technological advancement and corners cut in their construction to meet the growing demands of the war, the frigates are beginning to show their age. Some have been committed to lengthy refit programs to extend their service lives, while others remain occupied with the policing of the still famine-stricken frontier, and 2 vessels of the class, both veterans of the frontier war, the Abigail and Rodrigo, made up part of the Union's contribution to the multinational Avalon expedition. The future of the Alessiah class, like that of Tantalus itself, remains in question. Should circumstances allow, the refit of the remaining Alessiah-class vessels would be followed by a fleet modernization program to develop a modern peacetime navy for the Frontier Union. But for the moment, such ideas are distant and fanciful notions at best.